This is BR Live Combat Sports reporter Haris Kruskic, and today I'm here with All Elite Wrestling, Scorpio Sky. Sky, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Good to talk to you again.
Thanks for being here. So you broke a little news yesterday, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Scorpio Sky will be co-hosting a weekly 30-minute podcast with comedian James Willems called Wrestling with the Week. And Scorpio Sky, first and foremost, how did this idea come about to host a podcast?
You know, the fans have been asking for me to do more in terms of reaching out to them, and whether it be vlogs or podcasts, that sort of thing, for a while now. And I always was interested in doing it, but it had to be the right situation. And when this project presented itself, it sounded like something that was going to be a lot of fun, something different. And that's basically how it came about. I didn't want to pass up the opportunity to do something that sounded like it was going to be so enjoyable and so open to so many different topics, which is what I'm really interested in.
So what's your relationship with James?
See, that's the cool thing about this is at the beginning of this project, James and I were strangers. We had never met, we had never spoke. And I wanted to kind of keep it that way because to my knowledge, I have never heard of like a radio show or a podcast featuring two strangers. And so I thought that would be a really fun dynamic for the show, and the fans can listen to us, get to know each other, disagree on things, find out what we have in common, and hopefully become friends in the process.
So obviously most pro wrestlers have big personalities, but it takes an even bigger personality to want to regularly talk and have your feelings put out there to the public, every week. What made you decide that, this was something that you wanted to do? You wanted to be a talent, essentially.
Well, I really like to talk. I talk a little bit too much sometimes, and I wanted to bring that to the podcast. Really, what led me to wanting to do this is my love for podcasts and talk radio. I mean, when I'm in the car, I listen to talk radio. On a flight, I'm always listening to podcasts. And to me, my favorite radio shows or podcasts are the ones where it just sounds like a couple of guys just chopping it up. It's not an interview. It's not a strong format. And that's the idea of what we want for this show. If the fan or the listener can feel like they are in the room with us having a drink, just listening to a conversation, then we've done our job.
So are you nervous at all? Are there any reservations?
I'm a little bit nervous. I heard things are going well as far as subscriptions go. We just announced yesterday. And so that's really exciting that people are, fired up and ready for the show. So now we have to give a good show, which I think we're going to do. I have talked to James a few times. We've obviously had a chance to record a little bit, but that first episode has not been recorded yet because the idea of the show is wrestling with the week. It's going to be current events. It's going to be what we're thinking about in that time. So we aren't going to film until it's time to actually put the show out. So that's what's really exciting. Hopefully there'll be some good things happening that week. I'm definitely nervous about it, but I think it's going to come out well.
So I hear you guys are going to talk about wrestling, games, sports, and movies, among other things. So we're going to play a little game. I'm going to shoot you some questions and you just give one or two answer responses. Okay?
Okay.
All right. First of all, who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
Bret the Hitman Hart. Or I should say Dean Malenko because he's sitting next to me.
Console or PC?
I'm not so I wasn't a gamer. I know it's supposed to be one or two word answer, but I'm not a gamer. But during the pandemic, I got really into playing PlayStation, particularly NBA 2K. So I have to go with console.
Favorite non-electronic game? So like a board game or a card game?
Jenga.
Nice. That's a good one. Favorite active athlete?
Favorite active athlete? It's a tough one. I would have said Kobe Bryant, before a year ago. Well, I guess he wasn't active anymore anyway. He was retired. But maybe LeBron James.
Favorite movie?
Oh, God, that's so tough, man. I have so many favorite movies.
Feel free to spit a couple
basically
out.
the whole Rocky and Creed series. I'm going to call them all one piece, one story.
That's great. So real quick, how can people watch or listen to the podcast?
Please go and subscribe on all of your major podcast platforms. I'm talking Apple, whatever you listen to podcasts on, we will be there. Go subscribe. Follow our Instagram page, which should be WWTW Pod, P-O-D. And also, you can follow my Instagram page at Scorpio Sky and my co-host James Willems Feet, which I'm learning about because he has 2 Instagram accounts. One of them is just James.Willems, and they're all pictures of his feet. And then he's got his other account, which is James Willems Feet, which has no pictures of his feet. So this is something I may have to talk to him about on the show. I don't know. It's very confusing. I'm still getting to know this guy, but we'll see.
That's amazing. All right. Well, you heard it here. Wrestling with the Week podcast featuring co-host Scorpio Sky and comedian James Willems. Sky, thank you again for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. January 18th. Listen.